Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, one of the direct disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although actually Raghunatha Das Goswami was formally initiated by Yadanandana Acharya. He was one of the priests in the parents' household. And then later on, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put Raghunatha Das Goswami under the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. So in that sense also, Swarup Damodar Goswami was his immediate guru as well. So Raghunatha Das Goswami, very, very important personality. He is known as Goswami Maharaj. I know Tamal Krishna Maharaj, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj, is very famous for being known as Goswami Maharaj because of his strict adherence to the sannyas ashram. And Raghunath Das Goswami also, he is known as the Goswami Maharaj. And also he is known as Prayojana Acharya. Prayojana Acharya means, just like in the levels of progressing in spiritual life, we have Sambandha, we have Abhidaya, and we have Prayojana. And Sambandha means when we first establish our relationship with Krishna and or re-establish our relationship with Krishna and his devotees. Abhidaya, then we follow the path of devotional service. And Prayojana means what is the final goal, what is the final position of the devotee. So Raghunath Das Goswami, throughout his life, but especially in Jagannath Puri and also later on in Vrindavan, where he was mainly living at Govardhan there in the Radhakund area, for he lived there for like 40 years there in the Radhakund area, and his samadhi is there also in the Radhakund, the 64 samadhi area, Raghunath Das Goswami. His bhajan kuti is there also. So Prayojana, and he very much showed what is the position of the final position of the devotee. He was very much devoted to Sri Krishna. He was very much devoted to Srimati Radharani, and so much so, actually, in Krishna Leela, he is he's known as Rasa Manjari, or sometimes Banumati. Some others say he's Rati Manjari, but I think more that he's Rasa Manjari, one of the Manjaris, one of the close confidential servants of the gopis and the very close confidential servants of Srimati Radharani. There's one statement he made, actually, that he said that he wrote some nice literatures, some nice poems. One poem he said that you are so dear, talking about Srimati Radharani, you are so dear to me that even the Supreme Lord Krishna, if he is without you, then I would not feel complete happiness. So he very much devoted to Srimati Radharani. And the Manjaris, the young girls, of course, when Radharani would go with Krishna to different places, there would be the gopis, especially headed by Lalita and Vishaka, and other gopis who would assist her. But the very intimate pastimes that when Radha Krishna would go into the groves and Krishna would want to engage in intimate pastime, Radharani would be a bit shy. And so, especially around Lalita and Vishaka, who were like similar age to Radharani, but so when she wanted to be alone with Krishna, she would have the Manjaris come, the young girls. And the Manjaris would go in and assist them in their pastimes, and Radharani felt a little bit more free to engage with Krishna in a very intimate setting, and with the Manjari, the young girls there. So she's one of the Manjaris, Raghunath Das Goswami. So I'll just read a little bit from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mahaprabhura Priya Britya Raghunatha Dasa Sava Tyaji Kaila Prabhura Pada Tali Vasa. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, the 46th branch of the tree of Lord Chaitanya, was one of the most dear servants of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He left all his material possessions to surrender completely unto the Lord and live at his lotus feet. So here, the word Tyaji is used. Tyaji means renouncing everything. This was Raghunath Das Goswami. So in this particular section, there's other sections of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, also other Shastras. But in this section, a synopsis is given, synopsis, a summary is given of the history of Raghunath Das. Now, some say he was born in 1494, others say 1495. There's not really that much difference there, but he lived a long life till 1586. And so he was like 91 years old when he departed from this world. We know Lord Chaitanya only stayed till 48 years, and Sarup Damodar and Sri Gadadhar, many of the associates stayed not a very long time, but Raghunath Das, he stayed until he was 91 years old. And for a long time, at least over 40 years, he lived in Vrindavan, maybe 45 years or maybe a little bit longer. He went to Vrindavan. That was the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he go and assist, especially Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, in re-establishing the holy places there. And when he went there, of course, because Raghunath Das Goswami had a lot of intimate association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially in Jagannath Puri. Now, early on, here it is said in the purport of this particular verse, and then Prabhupada quotes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that he was the son. He was born in a very, very rich family. Very, very rich family in Bengal, around the Mayapur area, around nearby the Pulia area, and in a place called Krishnapura. So there was they were known as Kayastas. And now the Kayastas, Prabhupada explains that the Kayastas, they weren't exactly Brahmanas, but they were like high government officials and very paka kind of individuals. He said, of course, in the northern parts of India, there are other Kayastas who engaged in meat eating and wine drinking, and so they are more akin to the Sudra class. But the Kayastas, especially in Bengal, were considered very high class. They weren't exactly Brahmanas, but they were next to the Brahmanas. So, and they were generally government officials, administrators. So his uncle, Hiranya, and his father, Govardhan, were like that. They were government officials, and his uncle especially, his father also assisted his uncle in collecting taxes for the Nawab. And there's a description in the Antya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita about how Hiranya used to, he used to collect on behalf of one Chaduri with a Muslim deputed collector, and then he would hand to him, and then that would be given to the ministry. But then for some reason he organized directly with the government that he would be the tax collector. And Prabhupada describes that he would collect 2 million coins every month or something like that, and then he would give 3/4 to the government, and he would keep 1/4 profit for himself. So that was the arrangement. Of course, that Chaduri, that man, that Muslim agent who was formerly in charge, he was very upset about that Hiranya had gone directly to the government and brokered his own deal. So there was some bad blood there between that Muslim man and Hiranya, Raghunath Das's uncle. And Prabhupada mentions this in regard to Raghunatha Das because he was, now this Muslim tax collector found out somehow or other that, well, he alleged that Hiranya wasn't giving all of the taxes to the government and he was keeping more than what he was supposed to keep. So he went to the minister and complained that this man that just made an arrangement with the government, he's keeping more, significant amount more than what he's supposed to give. So he went with the minister and some soldiers and to arrest Hiranya. But Hiranya at that time and Govardhan were out of the village. So when they all arrived there, only Raghunatha Das was there. And so they arrested Raghunatha Das and they were chastising him and harassing him and threatening him. Where is your father? Where is your uncle? I don't know. They went away on the business. No, you're just lying. They were saying things like, you're lying. Where immediately give your uncle, give your father, we'll punish you. But the description is that when Raghunatha, when the Muslim man, he saw the beautiful features of Raghunatha Das, he couldn't bring himself to actually punish Raghunatha Das. And then Raghunatha Das spoke so sweetly. He said sometimes in the family of brothers, there's some arguments, and I'm like your nephew, and my father and uncle, they are like your brother. So he talked like that very diplomatically, and he was able to convince this Muslim man that he would talk to his uncle and his father and make an arrangement. And then later on, he did do that, and so the Muslim man allowed him to do that, and then they brokered some arrangement, and so everyone was happy. So that's mentioned as one of the pastimes of Raghunath Das Goswami when he was young. He was very, very handsome, very, very beautiful. But when he was young, now also mentioned is that in his village or nearby his village were the priests that, as I mentioned, that the father and the uncle were very, very wealthy, and he grew up in a very wealthy family, and the Yadunandanacharya and Balamacharya were like the two priests of the family, and they used to come and do puja. There was the family deity there, and so on, and they had their own deities as well. And so Balamacharya had brought Haridas Thakur to his house. He had a little hut at the back of like a bhajan kuti. He actually made it for Haridas Thakur to stay in. So Haridas Thakur, when he left the Pulia is near the place where he was staying in a cave, and there, that story where there was a snake inside, and he left the cave. People were worried about the snake. The snake came out, and then he left there. Then he went and to that village of Balamacharya, and Balamacharya had him stay there. And there was a whole, when Haridas Thakur came and spoke, there's that story of that Gopal Chakravarti was upset about some of the statements of Haridas Thakur in regard to chanting the holy name of the Lord, how just a slight little bit of chanting can give you the perfection of life. So there was that story there. But when Raghunath was just a young boy, he would go and visit Haridas Thakur when he was staying in the Bhajan Kurti of Balamacharya. And it is said that from that association, that although from his beginning of his life, he was very, very attached and a great Vaishnava, but still that association with Haridas Thakur very much solidified his devotional mood. So right from there, I believe he was around between 10 and 15 years old when he would go and visit Haridas Thakur. And so this is told here by Srila Prabhupada. He describes how he took birth in the village called Krishnapura, and he proper goes to far as to say on the railway line between Calcutta and Burdwan. There's a station named Tishabhaga, And about 1.5 miles away is the village of Krishnapura. And that is the parental home of Raghunatha Das Goswami. And there's still a temple of Sri Sri Radha Govinda there. In front of the temple, there's a large open area. He gives a little bit of description here in this. By the side of the temple is the dying river Saraswati. And he says all the forefathers of Raghunatha Das Goswami were all Vaishnavas, and all of them were very rich men. So it seems like in the family line, they were all devotees. But Raghunatha Das had no attachment for his home. And even though that he later on, he actually went to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Shantipur, and I think at that time he had taken sannyas, and he came back again and he went to Shantipur. And then Raghunatha Das had gone there to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was so overwhelmed by meeting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he just wanted to run away from home and be with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, don't run away from home. Keep your feelings internal, and just go home and be a good son. And then later on in life, you will get the opportunity to come and be with me. So this was the situation. So he followed the instruction of Lord Chaitanya. He went back home again, and he got married. And the description of his wife, she was like an apsara from the heavenly planets. The parents, the family made a nice arrangement, a very nice wife and very beautiful wife. But Raghunatha Das, he had been smitten by the association of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and day and night he just used to think about how to be with Lord Chaitanya, and even though he was married, he just wanted to run away and be with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in fact, he did run away. And and the acharyas explained this happened almost on a daily basis. He would run away, and then his father and uncle would send some men to bring him back. So no, you're married. You can't just run away. You have the responsibilities of the family. They were Vaishnavas. It's described they weren't on the top levels of being Vaishnavas, but nevertheless they were Vaishnava. But still, they wanted their son to remain at home. So after a while, after so many times of trying to run away, they actually put some guards. Employed some guards so that just to keep an eye on him so he wouldn't run away again. But the description is there but he was really unattached, and he would just not even stay in the inner quarters of the house. He would stay in the outer quarters of the house in the temple area, and he was even at night he was dreaming of being with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now one time he thought to go and visit Lord Nityananda, and he thought that because he was always praying to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and when would the time be that he could be with Lord Chaitanya. So he thought, let me get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, who is very dear to Lord Chaitanya. So he was able to go. He was accompanied, of course. He was able to go and to see Lord Nityananda. Now, Lord Nityananda, at that time, he was at Panihati. I've been to Panihati. Some of you may have also been to Panihati. Panihati, beautiful place. It's nearby when you fly to Calcutta. It's nearby the airport, actually. It's about maybe 20, 30 minutes drive going towards Mayapur. From the airport, you go, and it's right on the banks of the Ganga. And that that area there, Panihati, that used to be the household of Raghava Pandit, another great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, great devotee of Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda had come to Panihati, and he was visiting Raghava Pandit, along with many, many devotees were there accompanying Lord Nityananda. So when Raghunatha Das came there, he came and he paid his obeisances, and Lord Nityananda snatched him and embraced him, and when he was paying his obeisances and everything like that, and Lord Nityananda gave him mercy. He put his lotus feet on the head of Raghunatha Das, that time Raghunatha Das, and so he said that now you have come here, you have come from a very wealthy family. You should make a festival. You should make a festival, and that festival there should be kirtan, and there should be nice prasadam. There should be chipped rice. You know, this is a very famous festival. You probably all heard of it. I think you observe it there in Auckland, isn't it? The chipped rice, Chidadadi Mahotsava. Do you have that festival there? I believe you have it. You have a festival for it. Is that in Auckland? You have it there? Krishna Tanda, do you have it?
Not in the temple, Maharaj, but in South Auckland, the devotees get together and we did there.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm thinking.
It was this year in the beginning, yeah.
Oh, I see. In many temples around ISKCON, that it's a very big festival, especially, well, of course, in India, and especially at Panihati, very, very beautiful place there. That Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he was overseeing that, and I stayed at the home of the temple president, who at that time, he's moved now, but that time lived nearby the airport, and he would have a lot of the Vaishnavas stay at his home after they flew from international. They would come to Calcutta, and we used to stay at his home. And so he was the temple president, and a very beautiful place. They're building a big temple. They probably built that temple by now, and they're right on the Ganga, right just there on the Ganga. Maharaj used to have a little small boat there also that he used to go. He had a boat one time with an engine, and he took it up to Mayapur from there. He went up the Ganga. He went up the Ganga from Panihati, and he went to Mayapur, and he brought it back again. So so that Panihati, so Raghunatha Das being he had some money, and so he made some a big festival, and he organized everything. You know, he organized purchasing all the. They had mainly the prasadam. He brought some bananas, and there were mainly two main preparations. One, this is described very nicely in the Antya-lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very nice description is given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And everyone would be lined up, seated. Lord Nityananda would be seated, and there would be 2 pots given to every devotee. And one pot was the chipped rice and yogurt, and they mixed some banana in there also. And the other pot would be chipped rice and condensed milk mixed with banana also. So so these were the main preparations. Some other preparations. Later on, Raghava Pandit came, and he had arranged an offer. He didn't know about the festival. He came and said, "Oh, I've made a big offering to the deities, my household deities, and so that we have so much prasadam." So Lord Nityananda said, "Oh, we will follow this festival in the daytime, and then we will go to your house at nighttime for your festival." So all the devotees, and so the word got around that there was a big festival, and so many devotees who were living in the area came there, and a very beautiful description there that, and this was all sponsored by Raghunatha Das, that there were so many devotees. They were, Lord Nityananda was on a mandap, but the others were sitting nearby, all around the whole area. Some went all the way sitting down by the Ganga. They were sitting on the banks of the Ganga. There were so many people there, and some of them couldn't even find a spot. They were given prasadam, but they couldn't find any spot to sit down. They were going in the Ganga. They were going in the Ganga and standing in the Ganga, or some were just sitting in the Ganga and eating their prasadam. And meanwhile, there was kirtan, everything was going on very nicely. So, and it actually mentioned that Lord Chaitanya came there by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. He had brought Lord Chaitanya there, and but he wasn't visible to all. Some saw him, some were fortunate to be able to see him, and there was a pastime of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya pushing prasadam in each other's mouth. And so Raghunath Das had the opportunity to organize all that. And then at night, everyone went to the home of Raghava Pandit. Then the next morning, he again went to Lord Nityananda and paid his obeisances and said, actually, I've come. And he spoke through a Raghava Pandit. Raghava Pandit actually put this, he was nearby, but Raghava Pandit said that Raghunath Das has come and he wants to make an appeal. He wants to get your blessing. He wants to be with Lord Chaitanya. He knows that if he gets your mercy, then this can be fulfilled. And so Lord Nityananda called Raghunath. Again, he put his lotus feet on his head and said, your desire will be fulfilled very soon. Actually, Lord Chaitanya came here during the festival you organized and gave you his mercy. So it's just a time that you will go to be with Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri, and you will also be put under the care of Swarup Damodar. So he told him in advance, but he said, in the meantime, go back home and serve your parents, and the time will come, everything will be arranged by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there's a very wonderful festival and very wonderful story. Probably all of you have heard this story before of Raghunath Das. And so Raghunath Das went home, and then as the story is told, that one time his guru Yadunandan Acharya came there and wanted to get Raghunath Das's help, because he said that I have a deity and I have one disciple, one Brahmin disciple who has been worshipping the deity, but he wants to give up that service to do some other work, but there's no one else to do it. So I want you to convince him to come back and do that service. So both Yadunandan and Raghunath were walking towards Yadunandan's house. So Raghunath Das at that time had the idea, now's my opportunity, because every other time he even left the house, he would be accompanied by the guards. So there was no opportunity for him to run away from home. And so, but that this time the guards saw him walking with Yadunandan, so they didn't go with him. And so he went there, but as they just about got to his house, Raghunath said that you just go home. I'll go to the Brahmana's house now and convince him. Don't worry about that. I will speak with him and I'll convince him to again take up the deity worship. So he used that opportunity to run away. And he ran away. And this time he went all the back roads. He didn't go on the main path. He knew Lord Chaitanya was in Jagannath Puri, and he went all the back roads, which was a lot longer, the lesser known roads. And it took him like 12 days, because he actually was moving quite quickly. It's a long way to go from Maipur area to Jagannath Puri. It's many kilometers. But anyway, it took him 12 days. He would stop off different places, and it took him 12 days to go there. And so he was able to do it. And then when his parents were there, they noticed that he wasn't at home. So where is he? They went looking for him everywhere. His mother was crying. Everyone was crying. Where is he? Where is he? But he didn't come back. No one could find him. So then his father knew that Shivananda Sain every year would go to the Rath Yatra festival at Jagannath Puri, accompanied by many other stalwart devotees. So Govardhan thought that, Raghunath Das, he's with them. He's with them. He's going down to Jagannath Puri to be with Lord Chaitanya, and he's with them. So he sent some guards to go and get him back. And they had a note, and they caught up with Shivananda Sain, and the note said, please return our son. He's very much needed in our family, and so on and so forth. So words to that effect. So, but Shivananda Sain said, no, we haven't seen him. He hasn't come here. First, the guards didn't believe them, but he assured, no, I'm not. No, I'm telling the truth. So then they went back and gave the message to his father and uncle and mother. And so they were thinking that when Shivananda Sain came back again from Jagannath Puri, they sent another messenger and said, "Did you see Raghunath Das at Jagannath Puri?" So Raghunath Das had arrived at Jagannath Puri, and he went and paid his obeisances at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. At that time, Lord Chaitanya was staying at the home of Kashi Mishra Pandit in the Gambhira, in that room he had. When you go to Jagannath Puri, you can go to that Gambhira, the place of. Excuse me a minute. I'm just going to shut this. Here, the sun's coming. Yeah, so he went to the place where Lord Chaitanya was staying there, and he paid his obeisances, dandavats, and Lord Chaitanya was very affectionate to him, and he embraced him and gave his mercy to him. And he said that this Raghunath Das, he has come all the way here. He's left his home. He had everything. You know, he was like a demigod in as far as his material condition, and very wealthy, had money, had good family, had beautiful wife, but he left it all to come and be in our association. So he was praising him, and he said to him that he turned to Govinda. He has come a long way. He is very tired. Make sure he gets very nice prasadam. And so he said that you can be placed. He called Swarup Damodar and he said, "Please take care. I put him under your charge." So he said to Swarup, "No, I put him under your charge." So Swarup Damodar took him home. And every day, Govinda, one of the servants of Lord Chaitanya, would bring the leftover prasadam of Lord Chaitanya to Raghunath Das. And so he was living very simply like that, just taking the remnants. After a while, he decided that it wasn't very good that he should be living like that, that he should be living a very renounced life and not just be dependent on someone bringing him prasadam. So at that time, you know the story that he went outside the Jagannath temple, and at the Jagannath temple, those who were mendicants would stand outside the singer gate of the Jagannath temple, and all the mendicants would stand there, and people would come and give them some prasadam or arrange for some prasadam for them. So he did that for a while. So when Lord Chaitanya asked about that, he was very happy. Oh, he's practicing great renunciation, you know, and he had everything before. He was getting his prasadam delivered, but he thought that even that was not good. So now he has gone for begging the prasadam. So that is, Lord Chaitanya was very pleased. But then after a while, when Lord Chaitanya asked again, he said that he was informed by Mukunda Dutt, I think that, no, he stopped even doing that. He's gone, now he's just taking the prasadam at the charity booths. There were certain charity booths that you could just go and they would give whoever came there prasadam. And so he said, Lord Chaitanya said, oh, that is even better, because before he was standing outside and he was looking to this one, looking to that one, and he may have been thinking, oh, this one, he will give me something, that one won't give me anything. So he was picking and choosing which persons would give him and which persons wouldn't give. And now he is just neutral. He's just taking whatever's available. So that is better. But then again, after some time, he stopped doing that. And he thought that, oh, this is not good, just going and filling my belly like that. And so he actually, now at the charity booths, when the prasadam was old and started to decompose, they used to throw it nearby the Singeshwara gate and for the cows to eat. And some of it was so rotten that even the cows wouldn't eat it. But Raghunath Das would go there, he would take it home and wash it very thoroughly, and with the rice, this is description is there that he would eat the inner part of the rice with a little bit of salt. This was his. That's why he was so renounced. Goswami Maharaj is so renounced, and Lord Chaitanya heard that, and he was actually he was very pleased. Oh, his renunciation is very exceptional. And so he was very happy with him, and he was living under the care. And he came to him on a couple of occasions and asking for direction. It is mentioned here, the description is that Raghunath Das was completely melted by Mahaprabhu's beauty and charming personality. Of course, when he first met him, Lord Chaitanya told him to go home, but now in Jagannath Puri, he could come and visit him quite regularly. And so Lord Chaitanya, he asked him that what will be my main duty. Here I'm just reading. He said that Lord Chaitanya said that I've given you over to Sarup Damodar. He is more qualified than even myself to describe to you what is your prime duty. Still, if you want to hear something directly from me, then I say in brief, Gramya Kata na sunibe, Gramya Varta na kahibe, Balana Kaiba Ara Balana Paribe, Amani Manara Hanya Krishna Nama Sadalabe, Vrajye Radha Krishna Seva Manase Karibe. Don't indulge in worldly talk, he said. Don't indulge in worldly talk. Don't hear worldly talk. Try your best to avoid mundane matters. Don't eat delicious food, but take whatever ordinary food may come of its own accord. And don't dress luxuriously. Always try to take the name of Krishna with the attitude of giving respect to others without expecting respect in return from anyone. Be humble and never aspire for respectful dealings from others. In this way, try to take the name of Krishna constantly. And within, try to serve Sri Sri Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. Mentally be in Vrindavan, rendering service to Sri Sri Radha Krishna Leela. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is the essence of what I am instructing you. But as far as the detail, he took Raghunath's hand and he gave it in the hand of Sarup Damodar. He said, he is the one I'm giving you to the charge of Sarup Damodar. He is the best spiritual teacher. He will give you all the detail. He will take care of you very nicely. So after some time, of course, Raghunath Das, he stayed there with Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri for 16 years. There was a period where Lord Chaitanya went away and traveled in South India, but then he came back again. But in total, he was there for 16. After a few years, Lord Chaitanya gave Raghunath Das a Govardhan Shila and a garland of conches, shank. This he had received from Sankaranya Maharaj, who had gone to Vrindavan, had gone to Govardhan, and had received this Govardhan Shila, and he brought back a garland of conch shells. And he had offered them to Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya kept the Govardhan Shila and the garland of conch shells for 3 years. And he was so affectionate to especially to the Govardhan Shila. It is described that he would hold the Govardhan Shila to his heart. And he said, this is non-different to Krishna. He would hold it to his heart. He would smell the Govardhan Shila. He would hold the Govardhan Shila to his eyes, and he would pray to Krishna. He would put the Govardhan Shila on his head, and he would cry thinking of Krishna, and all that his tears would constantly be going on this particular Govardhan Shila. And so after 3 years, he was so affectionate to Raghunath Das. These items, which were very precious, imagine if you were able to get something like this, but he gave these, the Govardhan Shila and the Gunjamala, the string of Gunjamala, and the conch that he had for 3 years. He gave them to Raghunath Das. And he said that, now worship this Govardhan Srila, Swarup Damodar. He will tell you how to do the nice worship and wear this garland of conch. So he did like that, and he worshipped that Govardhan Srila. So with the passing years, as one description, the devotion and austerities of Raghunath only increased. He would chant 22 hours every day, sleep only for an hour, sometimes not even that. He gave up all food and drink, just taking a few drops of buttermilk. He became very famous, actually, in Jagannath Puri, and also, you know, around the area. Devotees would come just to take the darshan of Raghunath Das Goswami. He would offer obeisances to each and every Vaishnava that would come and visit. Now, it is said that he would offer obeisances to at least 2,000 devotees daily. 2,000. Now, this is something he continued when he went to Vrindavan. He was already doing this in Jagannath Puri. So there must have been a lot of devotees that he would see, or who would come and visit him. But anyway, he would go out also, and he would offer obeisances. He also offered 1,000 obeisances to the Lord and a chant 100,000 holy names daily. But when he would increase that. Now 100,000, we remember that Haridas Thakur, he chanted 300,000 names, which is 192 rounds daily. And so 100,000 is 64 rounds a day. But then he would just continue to chant. But he would minimum, he would chant 64 rounds. But then, you know, as mentioned, he would chant sometimes for 22 hours in the day. And all these activities attracted great sages and scholars and spiritualists from all over. So, as I said, that after some time, Lord Chaitanya departed from this world, and Raghunath Das' heart was breaking at the departure of Lord Chaitanya. And just a year or two later, Swarup Damodar also passed away from this world. So he couldn't bear the pain of separation, both from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also Swarup Damodar. He remembered now at one point, Lord Chaitanya had told him to go to Vrindavan and you help Rupa and Sanatan in their work. So he left. And actually his idea was that the pain, the emotion of separation from Lord Chaitanya and Swarup Damodar was so great that he thought, I will go there, but when I go there, I'll go to the Govardhan Hill in one far area, which is high, and I will jump off and commit suicide. I cannot bear the separation. But when he arrived there, of course, Rupa and Sanatan heard about this plan and talked him out of doing that and said, no, you cannot do that. There's much work to be done on behalf of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This body is not yours to do to do that type of thing. So they convinced him to stay, and he was living at the Govardhan, and especially at the Radha Kund area, as I said. There's one story that when he was living there, he was just living outside. And you know, when you know very well, when Vrindavan, it gets very extremely hot in the summer and actually quite cold in the winter. But he was just living outside. One time, a Sanatan Goswami came to visit him, and as he approached, and this is a very famous story also, he saw that 2 tigers, one male and one female, were just at a distance away from Raghunath Das Goswami, and just looking at him. And then he looked a little bit to the side, and he saw that Krishna was there. He saw Krishna was there standing guard lest the tigers decided to attack. And so Krishna was just standing, waiting to protect his dear devotee Raghunath Das Goswami. Then another time he came, it was hot summer in the middle of the day, and so Raghunath Das was just outside doing his bhajan. And Prabhupada actually says, we have got a lot to learn about doing bhajan from Raghunath Das Goswami. He made a comment like that, Prabhupada. And so he was doing, but then he saw that in the hot sun, there was someone, a gopi, standing with a sari covering, shading Raghunatha, and she was perspiring from the hot sun, and that gopi was Srimati Radharani. And so, as he came closer, she disappeared. But then when he came there, he said, we are the servants of Radha and Krishna, but I see by your staying outside like this, you are causing them to serve us. So this is not very good. You should immediately build one cottage here and have it as your fixed residence. So under that instruction of Sanat Goswami, he built a bhajan kurti that you can see that when you go to Radhakund area, you can see the bhajan kurti of Raghunath Das Goswami is still there. And actually it's mentioned by some acharyas that from that time, the system of the great the great devotees to build bhajan kurtis has become more common since the time of Raghunath Das Goswami, where he built that under the instruction of Sanat Goswami. So he stayed there, and every day, of course, Rupa and Sanatan would maybe not every day, but quite often they would go and be with Raghunath Das, because as I said, he was with Lord Chaitanya for 16 years in Jagannath Puri. So he had a lot of stories to tell about Lord Chaitanya. Of course, Sanatan got some direct association and instruction from Lord Chaitanya in Varanasi, and also Rupa Goswami, but not to the extent of Raghunatha. So they would relish going to visit Raghunath Das and hearing all the, and he would just talk for hours, and they would just discuss for hours about Lord Chaitanya, about the Rath Yatra, about all the different leelas and pastimes, and talk about Radha and Krishna. And so he was, Raghunath Das was so humble. He followed the instruction of Lord Chaitanya: don't engage in Gramya Katha, don't hear Gramya Katha. He would never criticize anyone. He wouldn't say anything bad about it. He followed that his whole life. He was very much loved by the people there. He would hardly eat anything. People were very pained, actually, to see his skinny body, and they would want to offer him so many things, but he would only just take a small amount. And he was so absorbed in meditation on the divine couple Radha and Krishna. He lived a long life. Later on, Srinivas came, Janamamata came, and he met with them when they came to Vrindavan on a pilgrimage there. Others came, they came to Radhakund. So, as I said, he is known as Prayojana Acharya, the one who gives the example in what is the ultimate goal of life. He entered the eternal pastimes on the Dwadasi, on the month of Padmanabha, 1586. At that time, it was the 23rd of October. And he's identified as, in Krishna Lila and Braja Lila, as Rasa Manjari or Banamati, one of the principal manjaris engaged in the intimate service of Sri Radha and Krishna. So, Hare Krishna, thank you very much. I want to give a little bit of time so that if anyone has any comment or question they want to ask, they can do that. Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening. There's many other stories we could tell. And he wrote some nice works also in regard to Radha and Krishna. And it's mentioned here also, he used to do Manasi Seva in his spiritual body, worshipping Govardhan Shila. He bathed every day in Radhakund 3 times, offering 1,000 obeisances to Krishna. He continued that from Jagannath Puri, 2,000 offering obeisances and embracing them also to the Vaishnavas. And so he would live very austerely. So I'm just looking through 3 books. Main books is Stavamali, contains Mana Shiksha, Mukta Charita, Dhanakeli Chintamani. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Raghunath Das Goswami showed the esoteric method of engaging oneself in the loving service of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Raghunath Das wrote and taught that the divine service of Srimati Radharani in Vrindavan is the topmost spiritual perfection. For this, he was known as Prayojana Acharya, the teacher who reveals the highest fulfillment in life. Hare Krishna. So any questions or comments from anyone?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Once again, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. To the devotees, is there any question or comments that you'd like to pass? Please feel free, unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is Nanda Brajdas. Maharaj, can you tell us where this quotation is from? You said Lord Chaitanya instructed him about the not to listen to Gram Katha, etc.
The which part, sorry?
Lord Chaitanya instructed Raghunatha Das Goswami about this importance of not listening to Gram Katha. And
that I think is from the that's from the an Antya Leela 6th chapter, and that whole 6th chapter goes into great detail there. I'm fairly sure that's where I read it, but you can just check Antya Leela. I read from the 46th branch. That's from the Adi Leela. But this quote, and it tells about Panihati. That whole chapter is about Lord Chaitanya and Raghunath Das. Krishna's Kaviraj regarded Raghunath Das as one of his gurus, and Rupa Raghunath. But at the end of every chapter, practically he prays to Rupa and Raghunath, and so Krishna's Kaviraj was very, very intimately and very affectionate towards Raghunath. He regarded him as one of his Shiksha gurus. And so in that section, Krishna's Kaviraj tells about Raghunath and the whole Leela there. I think there that quote is there. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's there. Antya Leela, chapter 6.
Thank you, Maharaj. Can you elaborate a bit more on this Siksha? Seems to be like main teaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunatha Goswami. What we can learn. You can elaborate a little bit more on those instructions, Maharaj.
Well, I mean, it's more or less it's very similar to the instruction of the Shikshashtakam. The 8 stanzas given by Lord Chaitanya were humble in the tree, lower than the more tolerant than the tree, more humble than the blade of grass. Offering all respects to others. It's really that same. This is the essence, that Shikshashtaka of Lord Chaitanya. He only left directly those verses. All the other expansions, and there are other instructions we can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but this is the essence of his instruction. So what he instructed, of course, he gave a little bit more about the Gramya Katha. Don't engage in Gramya Katha, just ordinary talks. Don't hear Gramya Katha. They're very, very important. If you want to indulge in ordinary talks, then you'll be thinking about those things. But if you want to elevate yourself to always remaining fixed, then you will get the taste, the param drishtva. You will get the taste. If you're always hearing about Krishna, we were just listening today's Ekadasi, every Ekadasi here at New Govardhan. We watch a lecture on the video of Srila Prabhupada, and this morning he was saying that everything about Krishna, whether it's instruction, whether Krishna is personally there, or whether he is speaking, whether it's instruction from Bhagavad Gita, or whether it's instruction in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Krishna talks to Uddhava, he say everything is absolute and everything is the same as associating directly with Krishna. So this is the situation. So when Prabhupada was explaining like that. So when we read these instructions, so these instructions that here Raghunatha Das followed his whole life. Whatever Lord Chaitanya said, and Lord Nityananda also gave that instruction as well, that Raghunatha Das followed. Now, this is something that as Sishyas, as disciples, that he showed the example. He was instructed, he followed it. He was very humble. And actually it described that in Jagannath Puri, after some time, he didn't approach Lord Chaitanya directly. He was so humble. He spoke through others when he wanted to ask something. He got Sarup Damodar to ask it. He got Mukunda Datta to ask it. And just even with Lord Nityananda, that request for his mercy, he got Raghava Pandit to ask it. And so he was very, very humble. So this is the emblem of humility. But we find Sanat Goswami, Rupa Goswami also very, very humble. But as far as renunciation, humility, and as far as absorption, Raghunatha Das is also very special. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Might have one time for one question if anyone has any or any comment.
Maharaj, one question from my side. When we hear such austerities or severe austerities done by Rupa Goswami, Raghunatha Das Goswami, how we take it? Because I mean, when he is taking prasadam, like the outdated prasadam, which is so stinky, things like that, and whereas we compare ourselves, like for me, for example, if it's not fresh, I may not eat it. But how then we relate to that severe austerity done by them in today's world?
Well, Prabhupada always told us, these are examples and these leelas and these pastimes. They're of the very elevated souls are there to inspire us. Of course, sometimes someone might be thinking, well, how is it possible for me to even do any of that at all? And then let me give up right now. What's the use? But that's not good. That's false humility. That's false ego, actually. False ego. So we should not fall to the trick of the mind like that. And the mind will try to trick you. Oh, what's the use? You'll never be able to reach that platform. Just give up right now. So the mind will try to trick you like that. It's Maya. But no, it's meant to inspire us. But one should not try to imitate that. Prabhupada said, don't imitate. You have to follow according to time, place, and circumstance. We were giving a class about Prithu Maharaj, and his father Vena was removed for being such an evil king. He was removed by the Brahmanas. And so the king, he didn't follow the directions and advice of the Brahmanas. And so the Brahmanas give advice according to the ancient Shastras, and Prabhupada made a point of emphasizing according to time, place, and circumstance. So what was there, even in Lord Chaitanya's time, some things we can take, we can follow exactly. Other things it's not relevant to today. Perhaps that was in those times and these times. So therefore we have to, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says in one quote, he says that actually the recent acharyas in one sense are more important than the predecessor acharyas, because although they say the same thing, they say it according to what's relevant now. So therefore, we can say, well, we want to follow an acharya from, in the time of the Lord Brahma. No, we have to follow the recent, because they know how to give the instruction and give it to you, and how to implement it according to the time and place we live. So yes, don't try to imitate. The Prabhupada used to tell us a lot. Don't try to imitate Haridas Thakur. Don't try to imitate the Goswamis. We have to follow our guru and follow the senior Vaishnava's advice, and how to engage in devotional service. There's that example Prabhupada used to use. Is what the big monkey, big belly, Ceylon jumping melancholy. big monkey, big belly, Ceylon jumping melancholy. And he was referring to Hanuman. Hanuman, he would eat a lot, and he could eat a lot because he was big, but he could also jump from the tip of India to Ceylon. Big monkey, big bell. But if we try to do that, we might try to be like Hanuman and eating, but can we jump to Ceylon? Can we jump to Lanka? So if you can't jump to Lanka, don't do the big eating either. Prabhupada used to say like that every now and again when the devotees, there was that famous story of the devoted disciple in Mayapur who was trying to be like Haridas Thakur, always chanting. No one would see him. He'd just be inside his room. He wouldn't come out. Oh, he's not sleeping, Prabhupada. He's just chanting. Prabhupada said, no, he can't do that. He has to come out immediately. Don't tell him not to try to be like Haridas Thakur. We have to follow according to the Guru. And, I've said chant this a number of rounds, but don't try to imitate. Don't try to jump prematurely to the level of the higher devotees. So we can be inspired, but following in the footsteps is different to imitating. All right. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you again. And so we look forward to the next time when I can be with you.
Sorry, Maharaj, there's one question on the chat came here saying that sometimes when we chant, not loudly, but when we chant with our mala in our mind, does it work or is it okay?
Well, japa mala is meant to be done loudly, so then your Prabhupada always instructed us like that. So you can hear it, and you take advantage of the mala or the sense of touch. You take advantage of the sound. The Gayatri mantra, that is a mantra meant to be chanted silently within the mind. But as far as japa, chanting silently, you mean silently, no audible at all? You can chant softly.
Yeah,
That's
just
one
mind.
But to chant, you're saying silently means you can't hear it. Is that what you're saying?
She's saying basically in our mind.
No. Well, I mean, of course, if you're actually absorbing your mind, then there's, of course, benefit. But the problem is in the beginning stages of devotional service, our mind is very fickle. So we can't always absorb the mind in that type of thing. Gayatri mantra is just for a few minutes, but the japa is for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So can you absorb your mind fully in the chanting for 1.5, 2 hours without it wandering to other place? And I remember as a young brahmachari doing this challenge with some other brahmachari. We said, all right, we all sat around. We said, we were in the ashram. We said, all right, we're going to chant one round. And we'll see, we'll trust our own honesty. Who can say that they've chanted one round without the mind going to any other place? All right, let's start. So we started, Hare Krishna, so we chanted one round. So which one of us can say our mind didn't go to the other place? So no one said. One brahmachari said, well, after one mantra, my mind went to one place, not even one round. I found I couldn't believe it. I was trying to, but then the mind all of a sudden started to think of something else. Like, oh, I forgot I have to do this. Oh, I'm supposed to be concentrating. So because the mind can't stay fixed for such a long period, therefore to help, we chant more loudly. Certainly there is benefit in chanting even silently because the Hare Krishna mantra is there. But if you want to absorb the mind more fully, then better more loudly. And then the japa is meant for loud chanting, not too loud that no one else can hear their chanting. We used to have one devotee, I remember there in Auckland, they chanted so loud, they used to ask him to go out in the field. No one else could hear their chanting. So, but not so loud, but you have to be able to hear yourself. All right, so thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
glories
Maharaj.
to Raghunatha Goswami Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all devotees from New Vashana Ki Jai.
Swami Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Maharaj, for taking your time out and being with us. So thank you very much. And again, we'll ask His Grace Nanraj Prabhu to please conclude before you go, Maharaj. Just
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pranam. On behalf of all the devotees here in New Ocean and on this forum, we'd like to thank you very much for taking out your valuable time to give us association and taking us through a journey of Raghunath Das Goswami. So,
Ah,
so much austerity, so much to learn, and so much inspiration. Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing your realization.
I hear that you're getting all the Devamita Maharaj was last week, and or who else you have? Bir Krishna Maharaj maybe, and who else do you have speaking?
So tomorrow we have got His Holiness Devamrita Maharaj.
Devamita Maharaj tomorrow. He was also last week, wasn't it?
Yes, Maharaj.
Oh.
And then we've got Malti Mataji tomorrow morning. Yesterday, day before that, we had His Holiness Bhakti Mukunda Maharaj from Malaysia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so we had quite a few Maharajas coming and joining, so it was nice.
Well, in one sense, COVID's very nice because we can just sit in one place and give all the lectures. We don't have to do any traveling. A few times a day I'm on the conference call doing the lecture or doing some meeting or something like that. At least 4 or 5 times in the day. So I don't know how good it is for my health sitting in the chair like this, but nevertheless, it's nectar being able to be with you all and have your association. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare
Thank you,
Bol.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Ramai Swami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Oh,
Jai.
Jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Hari Hari Bol.
Krishna Prabhu, we can give updates for tomorrow's program.
Yeah, so tomorrow in the morning at 7:30, we'll start with the Kirtan, if I'm right. And then at 8 o'clock, Her Grace Malti Mataji will be with us. And in the evening, we will have His Holiness Devamrita Maharaj. So please join in for tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening.
What topic they are covering?
With Malti Mataji, I have asked her to speak on Srila Prabhupada. Because she was close associate with Prabhupada, so we'll hear about Prabhupada tomorrow. And with Devamrita Maharaj, I think he will be speaking on. Sorry, I don't have my notes here with me, but we'll post it tomorrow.
Okay. We should got a bit of time. I think Nitash Padprabhu has got some photos here. Raghunath Das Goswami. Prabhu, can you please share online?
Sure, Prabhuji. I'll do a screen share now. Okay, is my screen visible, please?
Yes,
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Okay, so this is Srila Raghunatha Das Goswami. This is his birthplace or his home in Krishnapur. And this is the deities in his home, Radha Krishna deities. Very beautiful deities. And this is his Bhajana Kutir in Krishnapur. As Maharaj was mentioning, he used to live in the same courtyard, but in a separate small, like a kutir or a building separately from the main house. So this is that place in Krishnapur. And this, as we heard from Maharaj, this is where Sri Raghunatha Das Goswami received Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, the Panihati festival. And as we heard, Sri Raghunatha Das Goswami took shelter of on the banks of Radha Kund. And this is the pastime that Maharaj explained, where you can see Srimati Radharani covering with a shield to protect from the sun. And also, most of you may have heard, you can see these tigers here on the right-hand side. This is another pastime where Krishna came to protect Raghunatha Das Goswami while he was very deeply absorbed in his japa. And Krishna was standing there ready. On the right-hand side top, you can see Krishna is ready with his Sudarshan Chakra. Should the tiger attack Raghunatha Das Goswami. And this is his Bhajan Kutir in Radhakund. On the right-hand side is the inner view. This is again another view of the Bhajan Kutir in Radhakund. Most of you may have visited this place. And this is the Govardhan Shila that Maharaj mentioned, was given to Srila Raghunatha Das Goswami by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with the Kunjamala. So this is that Govardhan Shila.
Which temple is this, Srila Prabhuji?
This, I believe, is somewhere in the Radha Kund, Mataji. I'm not 100% sure.
This is
Uh,
Gokulananda temple.
Sorry?
This is like Radha Gokulananda, near Radharaman temple.
That's right, Prabhuji is right. Radha Gokulananda temple.
Thank you.
Thanks, Prabhuji. This is the Samadhi of Raghunatha Das Goswami, again at Radha Kund. This is the view inside of Radha Kund.